You're right, of course, that often wit is also very local. And what one culture thinks funny is not to other cultures. Years ago, there was a international comedy festival, you can imagine, in Bombay, India, now Mumbai. And there were two cartoons to illustrate the difficulty of comedy crossing borders, cultures. They both had to do with football, with soccer. The Indian cartoon is you see a goalie, standing in goal, and the entire goal is packed with people. To the Indians, this was hysterical, because the Indians knew who all those people are. That's the goalie's family. Because in India, you've got these massive extended families, and you can never be alone, even when you're in goal, okay? To the Europeans, this was incomprehensible. The European joke was there's a blind man standing in goal with sunglasses on and a little seeing eye dog. The ball comes flying toward the goal, and the dog blocks the shot. The Europeans thought that was hysterical. The Indians couldn't figure it out. The Indians were saying, why is this airline pilot in goal? Because in India, blind people don't wear sunglasses. Airline pilots wear sunglasses. And what is this dog? I mean, it was confusing to them. And so it's true that comedy is globalized. But the principle is generally, the more physical the humor, the more international the film. A Fish Called Wanda is a combination crime comedy and love and romantic comedy. And so it takes those other genres, I was talking about, the thriller, crime story, and love story, and uses them as comedy, and it has great physical comedy. I first saw A Fish Called Wanda at the Venice Film Festival, and the audience is 90% Italian, and they were on the floor laughing. And so there are comedies that certainly are international, and the principle is generally the more, of course, using genres we know well like crime and love, and physical comedy. This is why Charlie Chaplin was the great international star that he was, because it was the silent era, and even when he made talkies, it was 95% physical. And so great physical comedy, of course, is international. Ghost Rider was a great disappointment. It really is banal and flat and boring, and people just get all excited because it's Polanski and he's on, trying to win his expedition battle and all this shit. But I tell you, if anybody but Roman Polanski had made the Ghost Rider, it would have been it would never have been released. It would have been ignored. It would have gone straight to video. But because it's an auteur director, and there's a tendency in critics to want to take films like this and overread the symbolism and think that everything has deep hidden meanings. There's a metaphor for Polanski's life, and it's autobiographical, and this and that, and they overread it. It's really a very boring film. I know that these events in the history of Chile, as in Argentina, elsewhere, are deep wounds in this society. They're taking a long time to heal. So I would never say to filmmakers, you shouldn't go back to the past, okay? Because it is important that these wounds heal. We, for example, in Europe and in Hollywood, we have been making film after film after film for 60 years now about the Holocaust, because this is a wound that will not heal. And they made a beautiful film very recently called The Reader, which is about that particular injury to society. So I would never say, no, it is time to move on, or we shouldn't go there. But I would say this: these events from history that are so painful. If you go back and simply give us history, then it is a waste of time. But if you can go back into the past and find a universal human truth, why do these terrible things happen? Why do countries suddenly give themselves over to tyrants? Why aren't tyrants benevolent? I mean, Plato said the ideal government is a philosopher king. Why can't these tyrants be philosophers? All right. What is it about power that is so corrupting? If you can answer expressively in a story these great questions, right, then history becomes an anachronism for the present. Then we can understand the present, which is really what's at stake. That we understand the present now in the light of history. So I say yes, if you want to use the past, but use it as a clear glass to see the present and bring us insight into the human nature and society behind these events, not just history.